what if sleep just stopped? No more yawns, dreams, or nights lost to silence. You wake up one morning and never feel tired again. At first, it sounds like a miracle. 8 extra hours a day, limitless energy, humanity unleashed. But as the nights stay bright, something begins to change. People don't seem rested. They seem hollow. Because sleep wasn't just about rest, it was the only thing keeping our minds from falling apart. And without it, something deeper starts to break. Let's start with the first crack. The day sleep disappeared. At first, no one even noticed. It started as whispers, influencers claiming they hadn't slept in days and felt amazing. Doctors brushed it off. Another TikTok trend maybe, some new supplement going viral. But then came the headlines. Scientists baffled. Global fatigue levels dropped to 0. And just like that, sleep was gone. No one felt tired. The world forgot what it meant to rest. Cities adapted overnight, cafes stayed open 24 hours, highways lit up like electric veins, time zones lost all meaning. People started working double shifts, launching side hustles, learning new languages by sunrise. Kids played outside at 3 a.m. Old lovers got back in touch. Since we're both awake anyway, there were raves in parking lots and book clubs on rooftops. It felt like a renaissance of energy, of life, of unlimited time. But something was off. Not wrong, just missing. The silence that used to fall over the world each night is gone. The pause, the reset, the quiet space where dreams used to live, it's erased. And with it, a part of us disappeared too. No one knew it yet, but the first thing to vanish wasn't sleep. It was the mind's only window to itself. And that loss, it wasn't going to stay silent for long. A brain without dreams. Without sleep, the body kept moving. But the mind? It started slipping quietly. People were still talking, walking, working, but something about their eyes felt empty. Like the lights were on, but no one was really home. That's when researchers noticed something chilling. Without sleep, the brain had no time to reset. No time to sort memories, clear stress, or clean up the noise. Thoughts began piling up like papers scattered across a desk. No folders, no labels, just chaos. Names got lost mid-sentence. Dates blurred. People stared at walls, forgetting why they walked into the room. But the scariest part wasn't forgetting the past. It was forgetting who they were becoming. And it wasn't just memory. Without dreams, the mind had no place to rehearse emotion, no stage for fear, joy, or healing to play out. Nightmares, oddly enough, used to protect us, warning signals disguised as stories. Now, those signals had nowhere to go, so they bled into reality. People began reacting to things that weren't there. Anxiety flared without reason. Hallucinations whispered at the edges of focus. And the brain, desperate for something it couldn't have, started creating shadows out of light. But the real danger wasn't what people were seeing. It was what they could no longer feel. The collapse of emotion. You'd think the worst part would be the tired eyes. But no one had those anymore. What they had instead was something far stranger. Imagine a man punched a vending machine because it blinked at the wrong time. A mother forgot her child's name mid-sentence and kept smiling as if nothing happened. And an entire subway car burst into laughter at complete silence. Something that's gonna break. But it isn't the brain's logic, it's anchor. You see, sleep is more than rest. It's the recalibration of the soul. Each night while you dream, your brain sifts through emotion like a librarian sorting chaos, deciding what matters, what to keep, what to let go. Without that, every feeling becomes static. Grief gets stuck on loop. Joy flickers and burns out too fast. Fear becomes the default, even when there's nothing to fear. It's not just that people were emotional, it's that they were overexposed. Constantly awake meant constantly absorbing. News, noise, faces, opinions, ads, conflict, all with no internal filter. The emotional skin, that invisible barrier between what's yours and what belongs to the world, it dissolved. Empathy collapsed. Conversations turned into monologues. Love started to feel like obligation. Even music, once a universal language, started to sound flat. And then came the tipping point. Hospitals began filling with patients reporting symptoms no one could diagnose. Hearts racing for no reason. Chest pain without injury. Panic attacks with no trigger. Doctors called it psychosomatic fatigue. But those inside the system, they knew better. This wasn't anxiety. It was a body screaming into the void, asking for something it forgot how to ask for. As if somewhere deep inside our biology, the body remembered what the brain denied, and it started pushing back. The body starts speaking back. For a while, it will look like the brain would be the first to collapse. But then the body made its move. It started subtly. Sores that didn't heal. Eyes that blinked out of sync. A strange cold sensation crawling up people's spines, even in the heat. Doctors ran every test, but it seems normal. Flawless blood work. Perfect scans. No signs of illness. But patients were falling apart anyway. Skin grew pale and translucent, like it forgot how to reflect sunlight. Fingernails thickened. Hair lost its rhythm, either falling in clumps or growing endlessly. Digestion slowed to a crawl, as if the stomach itself had grown tired of working nonstop. And then there were the phantom symptoms. People said they could feel themselves fading, not in pain, but in presence. Like their bodies were still here, but their selves had stepped outside for air and forgotten the way back. Some tried forcing rest with sleeping pills, sensory deprivation, even comas induced in labs, but nothing worked. Their eyes stayed open, their minds flickered, their vitals remained stable. But something deeper was offline. Then came the phenomenon scientists couldn't explain. They called it shadow sleep. Random individuals began describing vivid dreams while awake. They claimed to see places that didn't exist, hear voices in familiar tones whispering things they never knew, feel memories that weren't theirs. But EEGs showed no REM activity. Their brains were wide awake, and yet their souls were somewhere else. Some researchers believed this was the body's final act of rebellion, a desperate simulation of sleep, forged in the mind's basement, built out of scraps of memory and instinct. Others thought it was evolution, a bridge to something new. But one AI model that had been observing the crisis in silence offered a different theory. It didn't call it evolution or rebellion. It called it succession. So what happens next if the body is faking sleep and the brain is glitching without dreams? Or if emotions collapse and time becomes a blur? What does that leave behind? Are we still human without the need to rest? Or are we becoming something else, like a species that runs forever but never feels again? Maybe the real function of sleep was never just recovery. Maybe it was the firewall between reality. Something we were never supposed to stay awake long enough to see. Because if the world stopped dreaming, it didn't just lose rest, it lost direction. And if this made your thoughts spiral a little deeper, that's good. That means you're still awake in all the right ways. Now, imagine diving even further. There's an entire collection of real, disturbing, and unexplained stories waiting in the dark. It's called Hidden Truths. And it's not just a book, It's a map of the world behind the curtain. If you're ready to explore it, check the link in the description. And if you want more stories like this, the kind that don't just inform, but haunt, subscribe to the channel. We're just getting started.